Take me out to the ground.
Good morning. Welcome here to the Armchair Quarterbacks as we go live here. What is it? September 15th already. And away we go. We have a lot in store for us today as I try to get the show set up here. Trying some new things because the audio issues that we've had in the past. So I'm trying to fix that. And also some of the games that they play on this network. So trying to deal with all of that. But, you know, away we go anyways, as we wish you a very good morning here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Got a lot to get into, a lot going on in the world of sports. And Sean is on the way. We're going to be talking about the waiver wire. We're going to be talking about guys that you missed out on. So what else can you go out there and get? So be ready for that, as we'll be talking about that very heavily this morning. But before we get into all that, I did want to go ahead and start the show off with what is probably going to be the topic of the day today in the world of sports, and that is the Major League Baseball the Major League Baseball playoff chase is coming to the end. And last night, some things went down in the National League. We'll hit that first, and then we'll go into the others. First of all, the Braves lose to the Rockies, which you don't want that if you're a Braves fan, but luckily everyone else in your division lost as well. So your magic number is now down to 15. So with the net magic number being down to 15, you actually did gain ground because there's one less day on the calendar. And look, Philadelphia and New York, they can't get out of their own way. Atlanta's not played very well over the last couple of weeks, and yet still the Phillies and the Mets are not taking advantage of it. So if you're a Braves fan, you're feeling pretty good about your chances today. They'll go again. And then also real quick in the wild card standings, let's go ahead and hit that in the National League, because that just got a little more interesting, because not only did all the teams in the East lose that I mentioned, the Reds lost, the San Diego Padres lost again. They've lost 5 in a row. Reds and Padres, by the way, have now lost 7 of their last 10 games. So 7 of their last 10 games have gone by the wayside. And guess who's taking advantage of that? Your St. Louis Cardinals are now in the wild card. If the season ended today, the wild card would be going on as we speak. It would be St. Louis versus the Dodgers. Now, how about that? Because St. Louis looked like that they were left for dead quite a while ago. And they really haven't played that great of baseball. It's that Cincinnati and particularly San Diego have played terrible baseball. San Diego is a game out now of the wild card, a full game out. Cincinnati is a half game out, as they are one back in the loss column of St. Louis. Today, what we have going on in the National League is we got the same cast of characters going at each other again. But here's your real quick pitching matchups. Looking at this, you've got the Braves are going to send Inoue to the mound versus Senzatella and the Rockies. Okay. So I would say a slight advantage to the Braves, but not by much. Senzatella is a pretty darn good pitcher. In fact, I'm streaming him in my fantasy baseball playoffs. He's done that well. He's a solid pitcher. I'm not expecting him to go out there and do lights out, but there's not a lot left out there on the waiver wire in this dynasty league. So I'm out there just trying to gain points wherever I can. Luckily, my opponent had a terrible day as well yesterday. I had Toussaint and Garrett Cole go last night, and it was abysmal. Toussaint ended up like breaking even. I think he got like a 0.5 points, and Cole only went 5 innings, so he didn't get the quality start against the Orioles. What the hell are we doing over here? So anyways, enough about that. About the actual baseball itself, you've got the Rays playing the Blue Jays at 3:07. That's Robbie Ray versus Waka. Should be a pretty good matchup. And then Red Sox and Mariners, they're going at it again today at 4:10 Eastern. So you got some good day baseball that you're excited about. Marlins and Nationals, not necessarily what you would consider a big time matchup, but I'm telling you right now, pretty decent pitching matchup. Rogers versus Rogers. And it should actually be a good way to start off your baseball day, 1:05 Eastern. Other games on the docket, Leicester and the Cardinals will take on Miguel and the Mets. I do believe the Mets will win this game. Leicester has just been absolutely just pedestrian at best. The fact that the Cardinals are still in a fight for the playoffs, for the wild card with Leicester in their pitching staff, along with J. Ahab. I mean, I don't know how they've pieced it together. Kudos to the Cardinals and Schilt. I mean, he has done an incredible job. Outside of that, Cubs and Phillies, Ranger Suarez hits the hill, so the Phillies will probably get the W. If you're a Braves fan, you got to be aware of that. It's 7:05 first pitch, and Mills will be on the mound for the Cubs. Now, he did end up with the no-hitter last fall, if you remember that. But Mills, 4.35 ERA. Ranger Suarez is 6-4, but he's got a 1.38 ERA. Unfreaking believable. Yankees, they're going to go back at it with the Orioles. It's Cortez versus Means. Means is a very good pitcher. If you're a Boston fan or anyone else trying to outdo the Yankees right now, you like your chances because Means does have nasty stuff, and he's the one pitcher on that staff that you say could be an elite. He could be a frontline pitcher for almost any team. I think you put him on any team in the major leagues, he's at least your number 3, number 4, and on some teams he's the number 1, possibly number 2. Other games that will be going on today, real quick, and then we're gonna get ready for the Wake Up Y'all show. The Angels and White Sox are going at it today. Not that big a deal there. Padres and Giants. Padres got to find a way to get a W. You would think this would be the day Musgrove hits the hill. They're going to be against Leon, who's pitched pretty well in his own right. And Urias continues his bid he would be my vote for the Cy Young. No one's really talking about him right now. 17-3 with the 2.98 ERA. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit the real quick break, as we are going to go ahead and go into the Wake Up Y'all show. Sean is on the way, and like I said, waiver wires, college football, our top 5 is today, and we'll also talk a little bit of the MLB races, and we're going to get into a deeper dive in the college and pro football betting lines, as some of them have shifted already. All right, we will see you in a second.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The Houston Rockets and John Wall have agreed to work together in an attempt to find a trade destination for the veteran point guard, as the franchise is committed to moving forward with Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green as its starting backcourt for the 2021 season. The commitment to the 20-year-old Porter and 18-year-old Green leaves Wall, a 5-time All-Star who was traded to the Rockets in the Russell Westbrook deal last year, without a starting role. Wall is 31 years old and is not expected to play for Houston, as team management and Wall mutually decided that a bench role for him wouldn't be beneficial for either party. Despite getting benched after his second quarter fumble against the Dallas Cowboys last Thursday night, Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Ronald Jones will start this week against the Atlanta Falcons, according to head coach Bruce Arians. Arians also said on starting cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting, who was placed on IR after he dislocated his elbow Thursday night while attempting to make a tackle, quote, Right now, it could be anywhere from 4 weeks until the end of the season. We're still looking at some stuff from the MRI and getting a second opinion for what he has done to it and what needs to be done to fix it, unquote. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the Falcons at 4:05 Eastern on Fox. The line is the Bucs minus 12.5, and the over-under is 52. And the New Orleans Saints have had 8 members of the organization test positive for COVID-19, calling into question their status for Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers. The total includes 6 offensive coaches, 1 player, and a nutritionist. For now, the entire team is operating under the NFL's enhanced mitigation protocols, meaning mandatory masking inside facilities, daily testing, and no in-person meetings and grab-and-go meals. We got a full slate in Major League Baseball today at 3:07 Eastern. The Tampa Bay Rays and Michael Wacha will head to the Hill to face Robbie Ray and the Toronto Blue Jays. At 4:10 to end the 3-game set, the Red Sox and Tanner Hoke versus the Seattle Mariners and Marco Gonzalez. And at 7:05, it's the Cubs and Alec Mills versus the Phillies and Ranger Suarez. Yanks are at the Orioles. Cortez heads to the mound. Cardinals and Mets, John Lester, Tyler McGill set to do battle. And at 7:20 Eastern on ESPN Plus, it's the Rockies and Senzatella versus the Atlanta Braves and Huascar Ynoa in his 3.22 ERA. Other games around the league at 1:05 Eastern, you've got the Marlins and Nationals, Trevor Rogers versus Josh Rogers, Woodruff and Manning, Brewers and Tigers, that's a 1:10 start. At 6:35, Vladimir Gutierrez and the Cincinnati Reds try to hold on to the wild card slot against Mitch Keller and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Indians and Twins at 7:40, and the Astros are at the Rangers with Urquidy on the mound. Angels, White Sox, 8:10 Eastern. Dallas Keuchel is on the hill. A's, Royals, 8:10 first pitch. Sean Manaea versus Mike Minor. Padres and Giants at 9:45. It's Joe Musgrove, Dave, for the Friars. And the Dodgers and Julio Urias, his 17-3 record, his 2.98 ERA. Why is he not being talked about for the Cy Young? He'll face the Arizona Diamondbacks and Mad Bum with his 7-10 and 4.66 ERA. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Can't believe it. It's my first blind date.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Really? Woo! You guys meet? Greg, Janice?
We sure did.
Armchair.
Would you punch me in the face for $100 million?
Well, to be honest, I can't help but worry based on the multiple shark necklaces that you're going to try to pay me in Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good morning.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
CBS Sports
Radio station. The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning, Mac McGee. I don't know much, but I know one thing. I don't know what a Met Gala is. I've never attended a Met Gala, never cared about the Met Gala. I was very happy, however, to see that Naomi Osaka, after she got bounced from the U.S. Open, decided to not take another mental sabbatical and show up for 70,000 press cameras to take pictures of her. How's that mental health going, sweetheart?
Hi, I'm Mac. Again, I don't know much, but I know one thing. If you're going to wear a dress that says tax the rich, Mrs. AOC, maybe don't wear it at an event where you paid $30,000 per plate and $250,000 per table. I'm just throwing that out there.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. Mac McGee and Sean O'Toole. Sean, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
You know, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to a weekend of significant libations on my part and a lot of football to watch. So, and we get it cranking tomorrow night. And I know we're going to start with MLB. MLB races are they spicy.
Are you on vacation or something?
No, I'm just off. I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I didn't know if you were heading out of town somewhere. When you say significant libations, I didn't know you were talking about just sitting around in the.
I mean, I'm going to be at my in-laws on Sunday. That's the primary reason for libations.
So you may not want to have quote unquote significant libations if you're going to be at the in-laws. I'm just going to put that out there. Truth comes out way too much when there's significant libations at hand, and you don't want the in-laws around. I
never at any point had your constitution, but mine has strengthened over the years. So when I say significant, I still mean not enough that I'm going to say anything I'll regret.
Regardless, it's all relevant, right? It's all relevant.
It is all relevant.
So if it's significant to you, then everyone in the room will be aware of it. That's what I've learned over the years. I can put them
Fair
down
enough.
with the best of them. I expect to be inducted in the Hall of Fame any moment. But once you get past where you should have went, that's when everything comes in. Yeah, it's your problem is it's the government. That's not the problem. Yeah. And then and then the night just goes all to hell. Well, let's go ahead and dive into Major League Baseball before we get into our college football. And I just knocked the entire studio over. Before we get into the college football and everything, real quick, we won't spend a lot of time on the Major League Baseball because there's so much stuff that changes every day. But the biggest thing is the St. Louis Cardinals just took the lead in the National League. What the hell?
I thought they were dead. I left them for dead 2 months ago. I thought they were gone.
Yeah, I didn't know they still had a baseball franchise. I was like, what?
Wow,
they could be going
that
to the
far.
playoffs? The St. Louis Cardinals with John Lester taking the mound tonight? How does that seem possible? J.A. Happ on the horizon later this week.
Right.
I don't know how have they done it?
Let's paint the picture of what their starting four is going to be, because it's probably going to be Waino, Lester, J. Happ, and if he gets back in time and is healthy, Jack Flaherty. 3 of those guys would be great if we're talking about a Cardinals-Dodgers series in like 2010, 2011, not 2021. It's just, I don't know how they're doing it. Really, how they're doing it is that San Diego is falling off a cliff and Cincinnati can't win more than a game in a row. Cincinnati's got the problem right now that Atlanta had for the first 3.5 months of the season.
They both have lost 7 of their last 10, Cincinnati.
Yep.
So it wasn't like that the Cardinals made some huge move. They've gone 6-4 over the last 10. So it's not like they've rediscovered the wheel. They just haven't routinely crap the bed. And so that's what's going on with the Reds. I really thought the Reds would be running away with it by now, because I see no life in the Padres. They went up against the Giants last night. They're not trying to chase down the division, obviously, but you thought this would be a situation where they could show some life. They scored 1 run, got 3 hits. And yes, It was DeSclafani. We all know that he's pitched out of his mind this year, we're not really sure where this came from, but still to only gather 3 hits with that offense. I mean, good Lord.
They've had a really, I don't want to say disappointing year, but it's been very odd.
Very disappointing.
Well, no, I'm saying the end result is going to end up being very disappointing, but I'm just looking at the big picture and saying Tatis is, you have to figure out a long-term resolution for his shoulder, because this pops up every year. Machado, by the way, is making like a gazillion dollars and is completely overrated. They acquired Darvish, who hasn't looked the same in the last 3 months, and they've had some really, really bad misses on people in the bullpen and in the arms, especially, that they were counting on. Lamette's been a total no-go. Mackenzie Gore has never become what anybody thought he would be, and he's kind of just, dwindling down to no value in AAA at this point. They're in a really weird spot because they've spent a lot of money and they've given away a lot of draft picks. And if a lot of this doesn't pan out, Preller's gone, and I don't know where they go.
They have had a terribly disappointing year. This team, they were talking about being the team that could challenge the Dodgers for the World Series.
Right. Slam Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. And they started off hot, and they've just played absolute garbage since. And other than a few guys like Joe Musgrove, they've been extremely, extremely disappointing. Remember, they will get the cat from the Indians a couple of years ago back next year off the injuries list. His name's escaping me. I always called him Hippie Boy, the guy with the long hair that they got.
Clevenger.
Captain COVID. So they'll get him back next year at some point, probably midway through the season. But they're gonna have to do other things. I think they gotta. It's not the talent. They gotta change up the chemistry. There's something missing in that clubhouse, whatever the hell it is, and it's just they're duds. They're just absolute duds. I think they're pieces that can be moved around, and they could bring in less is more kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe they've got too many stars. I don't know, but it just seems like they're missing something. Now you look at the AL wild card, and realistically, all the divisions in the American League are done. In the National League, the Giants and Dodgers are going to fight it out, but whoever doesn't get it's going to get the playoffs. So we won't spend any time on that today. But you look at the American League wild card, and we wake up this morning and whoa, Nelly, we're coming in 3 wide at the turn. Yankees.
I would argue 4 wide. Seattle still got games.
No, but literally 3 wide.
Literally 3 wide. Yep, you're right.
I mean, if you want to make that argument, it's 5, but 2 of them are drafting right now because Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox are all in a dead-footed tie right now. Seattle and Oakland are 3 and 3.5 back respectively, and that's the list. I know that you've been big on Toronto. I still say Toronto's pitching is going to let them down, and that I was very bullish that the Yankees were going to get in, and I think I'm going to be right on that. The one that's been terribly disappointing to me is that Boston has been just absolutely playing very poor baseball. They got the win last night, but all in all, I talked to Timus about this on Monday morning. I said, look, if I could give you a split in this series, in other words, win 1 and drop 2, would you take it? And he was being very gritty. He says, no. Now they did get the win, so that's the worst case scenario that they're going to get. But I was concerned Boston was going to go out there and get swept. And they get the W. They play today at 4:00. There's some good day baseball on today. You've got that. You've got the Tampa Bay Rays and Toronto playing at 3:00 Eastern. And if you're looking for a fun pitching matchup and some DFS, Rogers versus Rogers, Washington versus Miami is the 1:00 game. And that should actually be a pretty good pitching matchup. I know a lot of people are familiar with Trevor Rogers of Miami because he's been doing it for so long this year. But the kid Rogers for the Nats, he's been gritty, or as you like to say, frisky. And he's only had a few starts. That should be a pretty low scoring game. You might want to bang the under on that as we put our gambling hats on. What's your big take of this, especially in the American League? Because I think it's the most fascinating.
Yeah, to be clear, is saying I'm prefer Toronto is really just me
I'm
showing.
just saying that you called it like.
Yeah, no, I have. I'm showing
I
my
kind of
bias.
scoffed at it because I thought Boston and New York were going to play baseball and not slow pitch softball restaurant league like they've been doing the last 3 weeks. I mean, they've been stopping and chugging a beer at every base. Go. It's okay to go. It's okay to get to second base when you hit the ball. You don't have to stop at first every time.
My faith in Toronto is wholly based around, I'm a big believer in run differential and it being a very good indicator of long-term, you score way more runs than you give up. There's something to be said for that. And they're plus 172, which is the exact same as Tampa. I think Toronto is going to get in. I don't know what matchup I would like to see the most. I kind of feel like Toronto and the Yankees, in Yankee Stadium would be the best one. I really don't want to see Boston and the Yankees in a wild card game, 1-game playoff. I'm sure Fox would love it because the ratings would be through the roof. But that's a series that I think needs to be reserved for, a 7-game series. Those two teams just belong in that kind of environment.
I want that 1-game play-in because I've said it for years and we might finally get it. If you get that 1-game play-in game, it'll go away. We'll never have to see it again. Because when we see the ratings on what Yankees Red Sox could have been in a 3-game set on that 1 game, they're going to be kicking themselves in the butt. And to not have gotten it resolved this past offseason. So that's why I want it. It's a very selfish reason. It's because I hate the 1-game play-in with the passion. It is the most ridiculous thing in sports playoffs. As much as I think that the Major League Baseball's regular season is the best and their postseason as a whole is the best, it's the worst. The wild card 1-game play-in is the worst. You play 162 games and you're going to let it come down to 1. They don't do that in the NBA. They don't do that in the NHL. That would be the equivalent, except for the fact it's even more ridiculous because baseball plays twice as many games as those 2 leagues. And what's even more ridiculous about it is if you had a 1-game play-in in basketball or hockey, I could give you the argument, hey, the best team's going to win on the court tonight. In baseball, when they're chasing each other down anyways, you don't even know if the best starting pitcher is going to be on the mound that night. And so they turn into a bullpen game and all that garbage. And I hate the bullpen games in a 1-game play-in because I want to see a team win a best of 3. That's just my reasoning for it. But anyways, transitioning out of that real quick, but before we get into fantasy football, I do want to get your take on this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a very good chance to possibly win the Triple Crown. And it has been,
I love this.
And it's been a foregone conclusion that everybody is giving Shohei Ohtani the MVP. And I say to you right now, if the Toronto Blue Jays win the wild card, get in the playoffs, and the Angels are sitting way the hell where they are right now, I'm sorry, but my vote would be for Vlad. I would vote Shohei Ohtani second. I'm not a hater of Shohei by any stretch of the imagination. It's amazing what he did, what he's done. It's a great story for baseball. But if you win the Triple Crown and make the playoffs, and you're basically the reason why, and the guy who's arguing against you is not, they haven't even sniffed the playoff race the entire year. At no point past like April have we been going, well, you got to watch out for the Angels. So, and I get it that Trout has won it, but usually when Trout has won it, his year has been so ridiculously better than everyone else in the American League. You're like, who else can we give it to? That is not the case today. What say you?
Nope. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And for all the baseball writers and the people that commentate about baseball that I do enjoy, where I get off the bus with the quote unquote nerds is when they make this kind of an argument that there's nobody more meaningful than Shohei Ohtani because this is so meaningful to the game. And I have had this issue with the argument for Trout winning the MVP. It's the most valuable player. How is he most valuable if you finish 17 games out of the playoffs? I get it. He's the most valuable player when you boil down the stats to one number, or you look at WAR, and all these things have peccadillos that make them less meaningful. But if Vlad Guerrero wins the Triple Crown, and for anybody who hasn't looked, he's shockingly close to having a shot at it. in all of those categories, and the Blue Jays make the playoffs, you got to give him the award. And that's where I do agree with some of the rank and file and some of the old guard of the BBWA is the people who have never voted for Trout for MVP because they're like, this doesn't mean anything if his team's 25 games out of first place. And the same argument applies here.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's ridiculous that it's almost like they've already mailed in the vote. And I'm like,
right.
First of all, Shohei Ohtani got crushed last week in
right.
his outing when they say, "Oh, he's pitching." Okay, but if you're not pitching elite, then there is a Cy Young award, by the way. So if you're not pitching elite, how can you say this is if the Angels were in the playoff hunt, they were even in the argument? I could step aside and go, you know what? They didn't make the playoffs by a few games, but then again, Trout's been injured all year, right?
Right.
But instead, what we're really looking at is a team that hasn't been any kind of any relevance in the playoff race. That's not most valuable. You call the most impressive player, and I get it that it would be a shame to what Ohtani did for his season for him not to get recognized in some form or fashion, but he'll win other awards. But at the same time, you can say the same thing. We've had two Triple Crown winners in the last 40 plus years, 60 years, somewhere in that.
Miguel Cabrera and Ted Williams.
Remember Ted Williams. Ted Williams, man, that was like 60.
Okay, so you're saying in recent, Miggy did it in, I don't remember which year, 11 or 13.
Anyways, you've only had a couple. It's not like this is a regular thing. This is like the Heisman Trophy. It's like, oh, well, another Triple Crown winner. Oh, well, he won the ERA title. No, it doesn't happen. And especially in today's day and age, because you're talking about batting average. Normally the dudes are slugging over the fence or barely hit their weight.
Miguel Cabrera, 2012. Carl Yastrzemski, 1967.
Yes,
Frank Robinson, 1966. Before that, Mickey Mantle, 1956. So that's the last 70 years. I mean, that's 70 years. 4 guys in 70 years.
Right.
Come on, you got to give him the MVP. Got to.
Yaz is the one I was thinking of. Yeah. So
I didn't know that he had ever done that.
I knew it was late 60s. I just couldn't remember if it was Yaz. I couldn't think of his damn name. I always want to call him Boone because Yaz and Boone played in the same era in Boston, but I was like, it's not Boone. What the hell's his name? And then you put me on the spot. So I'm like, I don't know. 3 years ago, I could have told you pristine clear, but yeah, mine's starting to go a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive into fantasy football because you woke up this morning and you're like, all right, man, waiver wires out there. The hell should I do? Oh, damn it. This guy's taken. Well, I got this guy. So you woke up this morning and did you have guys that you wanted, or were you kind of lukewarm on the waiver wire this week?
I was lukewarm on a couple of names, but the 2 names that I did really take a look at, one I opted against and one I made some claims for. The first one was Elijah Mitchell. Now, he's not going to play the Lions run defense every week, but with Mostert being done for the year, and again, it's Kyle Shanahan. So we could wake up this coming week in Philadelphia and he gets 11 carries and JaMychal Hasty gets 18 carries and Trey Sermon gets 7 carries and JaMychal Hayes, like it could still be a Hydra nightmare, but he was very impressive, especially after contact. He had over 50% of his yards after contact against the Lions. The other one would be Christian Kirk. I saw a lot of action on him. Because Rondale Moore's still kind of, rookie receivers. You never know. They either pop or they really, really don't. And Kirk seemed to be a favored target of the Cardinals. Not sure how much of that is, how much of that week 1 performance is with the Titans. I'm sure you and Waller got into that yesterday, but boy, the Titans do not look like they have promising a future ahead as a defense in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see how much of that was Kyler and how much of that was Tennessee. And then the other one I really wanted to mention, because I did see a lot of traffic on this and I did grab them in one league, was just the Cardinals defense. If they're going to get after the passer like that with 4 down linemen this year, that's terrifying. And regardless of Taylor Lewan spending more time bussing with the boys and just being generally a chump that I can't stand, and getting pushed over by safeties, which I saw like 90 different clips of on Twitter yesterday. Really enjoyed that. Aside from that, if they can't block for Tannehill up front at all, like, that's going to be a real problem. And what I saw out of the Cardinals defense was very, very promising. And they have some really lightweight matchups this year. I mean, they play Atlanta, they play Detroit. So they're a real good stash and dash defense, to plug and play when you need them.
So the guys that I kind of earmarked, and I put it out on the video last night. If people caught it, they caught it. If not, it sucks to suck. The couple of guys that I'll mention. Tim Patrick, I have him over Christian Kirk, mainly because I don't know, kind of like what you laid out. I don't really know what I've seen this in Christian Kirk before, is my point. Okay. Mm-hmm. Where they're scoring a lot of points and he's out there, raking in. Remember something, he didn't have as many snaps as AJ Green did. So right. The sustainability for Kirk makes me a little nervous. I picked him up in one league, but that is a league that is so desperate for receivers. You have to start 3 and a flex, and it's a deep league. It's like 10 or 12. So you start really scraping the bottom of the barrel for receivers. And I had like some bum quarterback, backup quarterback. So I went ahead and picked him up. I don't know how long I'll keep Kirk, but I put him and picked him up because I was like, there's so many quarterbacks you can stream. Who cares? Now I have several shares of him, and I don't have room for him on a lot of my rosters. But if people didn't jump out there and grab Jameis Winston as at least your backup quarterback, I don't know what you're doing. Jameis Winston's going to play very well all year long. Do you get throw 5 touchdowns every week? Hell no. No one does that. But he's going to be very hot commodity. I would say a lot of people are scurrying to pick him up this morning. And then Tony Jones Jr. If you first of all, if you have Kamara, which I don't even know if I have Kamara, but if you have Kamara, you've got to have Tony Jones Jr. Because if anything happens to Kamara, Tony Jones Jr. showed that he got 11 carries, 50 yards. That's not too shabby. And he has shown that he'll be involved in the backfield. Now I'm talking about leagues where you have. I'm not talking about leagues where it's like an 8-man league and a 6-man bench. You probably don't have room for Tony Jones. But I'm talking about if you have a deeper bench or it's a deeper league, you probably have some room for him. Tim Patrick, I liked him over Kirk and Rondale Moore. I know a lot of people were running to them. I like Tim Patrick mainly because of his size. You've got the injury concerns going into Denver, and I'm not convinced that Hamler's going to be the guy. I know a lot of people run out there and grab a KJ Hamler, and look, you look the tail of the tape. KJ Hamler's an incredible athlete, but why wasn't he getting more snaps on Sunday? Now maybe that changes, but Tim Patrick's the guy they go to. People don't understand something too. Tim Patrick's a big guy. So around the goal line, they look for, he's 6'4". He's a big receiver. So I liked Patrick. I'd say one other guy that obviously the running back for the 49ers, Eli Mitchell, has got to be a guy that was out there. Some people really blasted into their waiver budget for him. I got him in a couple leagues, but I wasn't going to go bananas, because what if Trey Sermon ends up coming off? Because Trey Sermon is going to play this week with the injury. Right. What if he ends up being the drug of choice in San Francisco? Yep. And you've blown your waiver wire. I saw a guy in one of my leagues. He blew $20 on Mark Ingram. Oof. In $100 fab budget in week 1. Now I'm gonna look at his roster real quick, but oof. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I picked up Ingram in some leagues, but I had $20. You put 20% of your fab budget in week 1 into a running back.
He's in a timeshare, a huge timeshare.
well, he's in a timeshare, but he did get 26 carries Sunday.
He did.
So I don't know how much of a timeshare he's in, but it was also game flow. how many games is Houston going to be leading where you can hand it to him? Because he got 26 carries. I think it jumped off people. Man, he got 85 yards. Dude, do the math. It's like 3 yards a carry. That's not good.
That offensive line is not good. That offensive line is not good. Not at all.
I'm trying to figure out why he did what he did. I guess, well, you know what? I'll look at this guy's roster. He has no backup running backs.
Nah.
So that's why he did it.
Depth.
Now, I'll tell you who he dropped here in a second. He has 3 defenses.
That's overkill.
That is way overkill. And let me see. Who did he drop to pick him up? Because this ought to be interesting. Who did he say I need? He dropped Ty Johnson. Okay, fair enough. But dude, I'd be dropping one of these freaking defenses, getting some. I almost want to go out there and just start sniping dudes just to piss off. Just start sending him trade offers to like really bad running backs for one of his elite defenses. I don't have room for him, but Gainwell's a good pickup this morning.
Gainwell's a good pickup. Yeah. Sanders was.
This kid should be dropping Gainwell because he's available in that league. Should be dropping Gainwell. Picking up Gainwell and dropping one of his 3 defenses. That's absurd. Michael Carter Jr.'s out there. There's some guys you can take some risks on. You don't need more than one defense, man. You can't play more than one defense, and a defense doesn't get injured. You're going to send them out there. Now, sometimes you can carry 2 because you want to play the better matchup, whatever. I get that. But more than 2? What the hell's wrong with you?
Doesn't work. 2 is the max.
Yeah, I used to carry multiple defense. Now I pretty much just carry 1. Because what you find out throughout the entire season is it's so much easier to find a defensive matchup to stream than it is to find that running back in week 12 that you need desperately because of injuries to bye week.
They're not there.
And next thing you know, you're going back and you're picking Ty Johnson back up, just hoping he gets in the end zone. That is just a terrible job. I'm not going to call him out, but PJ, you can do better than that, buddy. Oh my God. 3 defenses and one backup running back, a pretty deep bench, by the way, that we have in that league. One backing, and there's 10 people in that league. So, there's not a lot of gain out there. Dude, you better be setting that alarm, picking up Gainwell stat. I almost want to do it, but I just have no room on my team. I'd be dropping like guys that. Now, I'll tell you one thing. If you have Miles Sanders, you probably need to go out and get Gainwell.
At least as a handcuff, if nothing else.
Exactly. Because if he gets injured, it's definitely going to be Boston Scott. That's for damn sure. But you have to look. That's the other thing that I always tell people because they're like, well, should I pick up this? Should I pick up that? Well, what does your roster look like? Because what's true to one roster is not true to another. Should I go out there and throw my fab budget out the window for a Mitchell this week? Well, I don't know. What does your team look like? From what I just saw, this PJ, dude, you should have blown your fab budget up to pick up Mitchell and Ingram and just dump these defenses. I'm looking at. Let's see. Anyone else? I'll let. Another interesting one, if you're in a full point PPR league, is a Marvin Jones Jr. from Jacksonville because they're going to be sucking all year. So they're going to be playing from behind. Is there anyone I've left off that you
There's nobody. I really like the Tim Patrick hit. KJ Hamler's problem at Penn State was drops. And for anybody who wasn't watching that game, and I had that game on because I was very, very close to hitting a 14 parlay for some nice cheddar cheese that the Giants, completely took a bathroom break all over. He had a wide open 70-yard touchdown go right through his hands. Like there wasn't a defender within 5 yards of him, and he could have walked into the end zone, and it hit him right in the hands and went right through. And that was his problem at Penn State. And I'll tell you, 60-year-old head coaches like Vic Fangio tend to not be too, understanding and forgiving of that kind of thing. They don't put those guys back on the field for those deep shots. So Tim Patrick's a great one. I hadn't even thought about that because I hadn't seen his name really on any of the waiver articles that I've been paying attention to. That's an awesome one.
By the way, I heard a great theory behind that. Do you know why Tim Patrick is not a hot fantasy name right now. They're calling him the CPA. And you know why they're calling him the CPA? Because they say, man, if he had a flashier, sexier name, Tim Patrick would be everyone's top of the reservoir. But he sounds like your accountant, Tim Patrick.
And got two first names.
And nobody wants to pick up Tim Patrick, the accountant, to be your fantasy savior. So you're running out and grabbing Eli Mitchell. You're going out there and getting Gainwell. Some really cool names. Like nobody wants Tim Patrick. So the CPA, I think he's going to fly on everyone's radar. And I really think that depending on what your roster looks like, you should take a chance on him. I picked him up in a few leagues. He's still only rostered in 16% of Yahoo.
Yeah, it's not high. It's not even 20. Yep.
Right. So I'm just going to put that out there. I think you should probably take a good look at him. But outside of Jameis Winston, any quarterback that you like this week?
The only one that popped up, because he's probably not rostered in, I wouldn't say 70% of leagues. I could be wrong about that. But Baker could really eat this week, especially in the first half against Houston. Houston's going to come in with a lot of vinegar in their step, being 1-0 and being in first place after a week. Look, let's calm down, everybody. The Lions were what, 2-0-1 last year before we got rid of Pencilhead's big fat dumb butt. So I don't want to, let's calm down a little bit here. The Texans are not winning in the AFC South, which is a funny bit in week one, but the Browns is one that I've seen really, really popped up on the radar. I would also, if you really spend a lot of time skill positions and maybe got your quarterback later, you would already mention Jameis. The other one I'll mention will be Teddy, because he's going to play some really suspect defenses this year. You go look at their schedule. They're facing like the 8th ranked DVOA of pass defenses this year. Yeah, they have to play the Chargers twice, which is a bit of a tougher draw, but you get the Raiders twice, you get Kansas City twice, Kansas City is not the 85 Bears on defense. They showed it again. Teddy's an interesting stash if you maybe only have one quarterback, right? If your team spent a lot of money at the skill positions and you grabbed, I don't know, Brady or whoever, in the 7th to 11th round, you grabbed a middle of the road fantasy quarterback, which is funny because middle of the road's now 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. But if you need a guy to stream here or there, take a look at Bridgewater, because he's still got the ability to run a little.
Well, especially
they did it with him several times.
Yeah, I don't know if I like Bridgewater long term, because he's the Tim Patrick. It's very fitting that they're teammates. He's the Tim Patrick of quarterbacks. He
really is.
Even though he's got a much cooler name, Teddy Bridgewater is definitely working in a cubicle. He's not exciting anybody. But against Jacksonville's offense, defense, it's going to be a sieve all year. People are going to be chasing the Jaguars all year long. They're going to go, who are the Jaguars playing? What can I pick up this week to play against them? They're just going to do it. Let's go ahead and take that quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the college football top 5. We're going to tell you who belongs and who don't. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here to CBS Sports Radio.
This is the part in the Lifetime movie version where I get up to pee.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Almost Good Beer. Remember, Ed's Almost Good Beer was brewed in God's country when God wasn't looking.
What's going on here, guys? All right, Coach. So basically, it was a holding call. But these dudes started me in their fantasy league, which is cool because this dude started our quarterback, but he started our kicker and I started their defense. So it's kind of a pickle.
Compromising the integrity of this game with your fantasy football leagues? Listen to me. If there was holding, you make that holding call. I don't care if it was on our team or not. I care about this game too much to let you.
Coach, you started their defense too, didn't you?
Yeah, you definitely started their defense.
Damn right I did.
Armchair.
People might walk up to you occasionally and they might want to just take a picture with you and say, congratulations, great work. With me, they want to debate. My life is harder.
Well, Stephen, here's what I want you to realize. A, you're lying. Nobody comes up to you. Okay? Stephen A. Smith does not have one fan. Not one. There's never been a request for a picture. There's never been a request for a debate. You are you're snap finger famous. That's the guy. That's what's the guy that's
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. We're only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Ready for some college football talk as the top five obviously been out for a couple of days. There's just so much that we can't just get into the first few days. It's just, I mean, it's insane. So officially right now, the college football top five in the coaches and the AP poll, which obviously the only two polls people realistically pay attention to. I know there's like all kinds of computer polls, but you know, this isn't the college football ranking podcast, so we're gonna do we're just gonna hit these two and go from there. You got Alabama number 1, Georgia 2, Oklahoma 3, Oregon 4, and Iowa 5 in the AP, Texas A&M 5 in the coaches, and that's where it falls out. I do find it interesting that Clemson is 6 in both polls, and the ones that are 5 are 7 in the respective polls I just mentioned. So in other words, A&M's 5 in the AP, A&M's 7 in the AP, Iowa's 7 in the coaches. So I find it interesting that everyone believes Clemson's number 6, but there's a discrepancy between 5 and 7. And I also find it odd that Clemson has lost a game. The other teams I mentioned have not lost a game. I know they lost to Georgia, but they also didn't score a single point. Offensive, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. They did kick
right.
Now Georgia didn't score an offensive touchdown either. So, with that being said, I'm curious to see what is your top 5. Start at number 5 and go on up.
Yeah. So my number 5. Sorry, my pad keeps dropping there. My number 5 is the University of Iowa.
I thought we were on one of those hydraulic systems.
That would be funny, but no. My this is gonna sound oddly familiar, but my number 5 is Iowa. You know, I can't wait to watch this team play again. They're just a lot of fun, and you know, I didn't realize until I dug into it that Kirk Ferentz completely owns Matt Campbell. He's won the last 5 meetings, and it hasn't been particularly close. So for all the love for Matt Campbell, Ferentz keeps doing a great job there.
Matt Campbell needs to get the hell out of there and go to USC is what he's doing.
He really does. He really does. Ferentz is, I don't know that we've ever had a long conversation about him. He's an interesting figure because he was on Hayden Fry's staff, and he's basically a modern day Hayden Fry. Like, he wants to stay there for 35 years. He wants to die and have a statue put out inside the building there, and have one of his assistants take over. And that's just a really interesting program because they've always kind of done it that way. But Iowa's 5. Oregon's my number 4. I was just so impressed with the way they went into the shoe and laid it on the Suckeyes. There wasn't a dry eye in my house, just tears all over the place that Ohio State got their brains bashed in on a Saturday afternoon. Tell you, number 3 is Oklahoma. For me, I think, until somebody gets them, and I do think somebody's going to get them because I still think they're really, really suspect, but they're the best team in the Big 12 at the moment. And then, I got Georgia 2 and Alabama 1. I got mine the same as, I didn't even look at it until you just said it. And I was like, oh man, that seems chalk. But there's really nothing I would change. Cincinnati has a big game this weekend.
You got Iowa 5. Who do you have it for?
Oregon.
Okay. I had that flip flop when I was writing it down. All right, gotcha. Okay.
And if Cincinnati goes into Bloomington this weekend and beats the brakes off the Hoosiers, which I think is possible, I think a case could be made that Cincinnati should jump A&M and Clemson, depending on how they look this weekend. But until somebody in that top 5 loses, I don't see a reason to change anything.
So this is my college top 5. We'll start at number 5, the Georgia Bulldogs. I almost didn't put them in there. The fact they couldn't score an offensive point against Clemson concerns me. Now they did come out and dominate last Saturday, but then again, look at who they were playing. Number 4 is the Oklahoma Sooners. I believe, as you believe, they are going to fall at some point because they're highly suspect in those big moments where we keep hearing that their defense has been improved, but I've got to see it for myself against a big opponent. They'll get Nebraska this weekend. That's not a big opponent, no matter what Fox tries to tell you on the pregame. They're a 22.5 point favorite. Oklahoma is going to blow the doors off of Nebraska. My number 3 is Oregon. I've been pounding that damn drum all season. I think Oregon is for real. I think with all the players that they have coming back, they look very sluggish in the first game, but I think they were looking ahead. Look, college football has a lot to do with emotion, and I think they were looking ahead to the Ohio State game. My number 2 is the Iowa Hawkeyes. They have impressed me to no end. To handle Indiana the way they did, and then to do the same thing to Iowa State. I no longer think Indiana was some kind of fraud. I now believe Iowa is the real deal. And then of course, Alabama number 1. Until Alabama gets beat, you got to put Alabama up there. The defending national champion, and it's not a normal defending national champion. They are a football, not just a program. They are a factory. They just churn out, guys who are in the NFL will continue to be in the NFL. So until Alabama falls, I've got to put them at number 1. I don't think it'll be this weekend in Gainesville, but I know that's a game that a lot of people will be circling.
I was just going to ask you if we should call Agolini live on the show and ask him if he likes their chances.
We will find out Friday.
Yes, you will.
He's here every Friday morning, and I'll be interested. He's always the doom and gloom. He'll still say that Florida doesn't have a chance, and he'll make jokes like in case y'all didn't know it, Florida's not going to show up this weekend because they have no chance and all that kind of stuff. So he tries to, I call it the Lou Holtz.
Right. Play it off. Lou used to do that. Yeah.
The whole Lou Holtz psyche where your opponent's the greatest and we're just not that good. But Florida's got a decent chance of winning this damn game. They really do. It's because it's in the swamp. If it's in Tuscaloosa, I give them no shot. If it's on a neutral field, not much of a shot. They went toe to toe with Florida in the SEC title game last year. And I would hope their defense is better, because how could it be worse than what we saw last year? So they've got an outside chance. Am I taking it? Hell no. Would I take Florida plus 15.5 before I would take Alabama minus 15.5? That's a big spread to drop in an SEC game that's expected to be close, and it's on the road.
Right.
So I'm very interested in this game. I'm going to be watching it, but I'm actually going to be broadcasting something else at the same time, so they're going to conflict. But I will have a second eye on that. But the whole thing about this is this could be Dan Mullen's seminal moment. Where if he wins this game,
puts him on a different level.
You can start packing his bags for Southern Cal. I hate to tell you, Gator fans, but that's going to be the damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if they lose, you're like, stupid Mullen. If they win, yay. What do you mean you're leaving?
I don't know if you sent me this in the text, but I'll give you my top 3 for coaches that I think they're going to call first. I think they're going to call Matt Campbell straight away. I think they're going to call Lincoln Riley. And as funny as the jokes are, and boy, do I love the jokes, I think they're going to call Jacksonville. I think they're going to call Urban Meyer. Those are the first 3 phone calls that I think their AD is going to make. Now, are any of those guys going to take the job? I think Matt Campbell should. I don't know if he will. I don't think Lincoln Riley's leaving Oklahoma.
You can reverse that order for me. They'll call
Reverse
Urban
the
Meyer.
order. Okay.
They'll call Urban Meyer before they call anybody, because Urban Meyer is already faking heart attacks. You go, on here. Yeah, I'm not feeling myself. You're not feeling yourself because you're getting your guts kicked in. You no longer have a roster that's a 22-point favorite every Saturday, so you don't really understand what's going on.
Right.
I've always questioned whether Urban Meyer was a great football coach or just a great recruiter, and he's a great recruiter. It is what it is. My number 2 guy I'm telling you, is Dan Mullen, because Southern Cal can afford to steal him. And I could see Dan Mullen wanting the big lights and big. Look, let me tell you something. We talked about this the other day. If you're Dan Mullen, no matter what you think you can build at Florida, you can build it better in Southern Cal. So you don't have to play the SEC gauntlet. You're not going to have to fight Georgia for recruits in your same division every single. And Texas and Oklahoma are headed your way. Okay.
Right.
Which means there's a very good chance, because every single model that I've seen suggests Alabama and Auburn go to the East and they keep the West the way it is at Oklahoma and Texas.
Yep.
So your job just got a hell of a lot harder, because you're never going to beat out Alabama. You're going to have a hard time beating out Georgia and Auburn. You go Southern Cal. What's your biggest worry? Arizona State? You don't worry about Herm Edwards?
He does. I'm looking at his coaching history, and he does seem to be relatively a Southern guy. I mean, he was a grad assistant at Notre Dame. He was a quarterbacks coach at Utah. And he was, I don't know if that's the same time as Urban Meyer. I don't think it is. He was a QB coach.
Hold on a second. We got some fantasy football questions. Should I pick up Aguilar or Beasley on the waiver wire? That's a good one, because honestly, if he's available out there, I say no Aguilar and go with his teammate Myers. I know everyone's on the Aguilar train, but I still think Myers is the guy to have. But if neither one, but if he's not available and Tim Patrick's not available, then what do you say, Aguilar or Beasley? For today, I would say, who does Buffalo play this weekend?
At Miami. Lockdown Sunday.
And then you got to go Aguilar, because he's playing the Jets.
Yep, at the Jets.
But if Tim Patrick is out there, if Jacoby Myers is out there,
Myers especially.
Here's another thing. Someone in my league dropped Sutton. Should I use a waiver wire claim on him or pick up Tim Patrick? I say pick up Tim Patrick and then see what else you could possibly put a waiver wire claim out there for. Because
I don't have any disagreement with that whatsoever. I'm not trusting Cortland Sutton until I see it. I need to see it.
Because with me, I would like to have both of them. That way, if there's an injury or whatnot,
right.
Those are going to be the 2 top guys in Denver, without a doubt. So that's what I'm leaning with. What say you?
Yeah, I don't have anything to disagree with there. I'm very big on Jacoby Myers. I mentioned him a lot on Sunday on the handicappers, and I watched, I think, every snap of that game. Miami's defense is not considered, I don't think, by the rank and file, a top 7 to 10 defense, but they are absolutely 100% a top 7 to 10 defense. And Mac Jones isn't going to see another defense that good for a number of weeks. And he was really, really going to Myers, especially in those 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 situations. He was looking for Myers. Myers was read 1 every single time. And it's a lot easier to look good as Jacoby Myers when you're having a ball thrown into your hands than, having an electrified bowling ball shot at your feet like he was having from Cam Newton last year. So I think if you pick up Myers, if he's available, you're going to be well rewarded throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, I'd like to know what else was out there on that waiver wire, but definitely because if nothing else, whatever you're planning on dropping, at least get your Tim Patrick, because what if you go to put a waiver wire claim out there and you get sniped by that, right?
Yep.
So at least get your Tim Patrick. Cortland Sutton probably has a bigger ceiling throughout the rest of the year. and there's a reason why he's owned in many leagues. Remember, before he was injured, Cortland Sutton was playing well, very well. But you got a new quarterback, and in my opinion, if you can hold them, I would like to have both of them just to hedge my bets, because there's probably someone on your bench that you think is going to do something, but by God, if you've got Patrick and Sutton, you know somebody's got to do something. They're not all just going to go out there and get 13 yards a game, right? Somebody's got to do something around here. Denver's going to be a solid offense. They're not going to be anything flashy, but they're going to be a solid, and you'll see it play out over the next few weeks between Patrick and Sutton, who ends up being his guy. I still think it's going to be Patrick around the red zone and Sutton in between the 20s. Sutton has more of a flash for the big play, but if it's a full point PPR, give me Patrick, because I think he's going to get more targets.
I agree. 12th to 15th in the league is their goal for their offense, because they're a top 3 defense, easy. So that's how they're going to play.
Right. So let's get back into some picks, some football picks as we're going to run out of time here. What's got your eye? Are we going college or pro first?
I'm going to go college first and just give you a few games that I'm taking a look at.
We'll go pro in a minute. Plus 20.5 bucket. What is it?
No, but I do.
There's nothing on this tomorrow night. College football. Ohio versus Lafayette. That's the best we could do.
That's very disappointing. Yeah, I guess they don't want to go up against the NFL, which is understandable. But I've got a couple that I'm really interested in. You and I have been on the reciprocator of this team as a dog for a couple weeks. Michigan State plus 6.5 at Miami. I think Miami stinks. And for all you want to say about Mel Tucker, and I've said plenty, he was very, very active in the transfer portal this year, and they look much better than they looked last year.
They do.
That's a huge one for me.
I don't know if Miami stinks, but that game's going to be too close for me to give up 6.5 for Miami. I think if Miami wins, it's going to be a nail biter, but it wouldn't shock me for Michigan State to win. I still think Miami's got a lot of good athletes, but the fact that they struggled against Appalachian State, I would think they're going to struggle against Michigan State. I'll tell you something else. I think that over-under is incredibly high. 56.5.
Seems very high. That's not how Michigan State plays. Running the ball and playing defense.
Right. It's a noon kickoff. I see 24-20 type of ball game, no matter who wins. If you take 56.5, man, you better hope everything falls your way. I know college, they score more, but Michigan State's infamous for just draining the clock.
My other one's going to be an anti-Big Ten one, but this is more of just I love these noon games, and we talked about this team before the season started. Colorado's giving 3 at home, hosting Minnesota, who has lost Ibrahim for the year. Really, really did not look sharp in their game after Ohio State. I don't love this at all. I really think that's a tough place to play. And say what you want to say, but Carl Jarrell's got that team playing. They're playing very, very hard. And he wasn't very good at UCLA, but you throw him at kind of like a mid Power 5 school like this, and he's going to do this stuff. He's going to sneak up on you and beat you by 10 on a Saturday morning at noon.
I'll tell you what's grabbing my eye right now. Obviously, we'll make our official picks later in the week, but what's grabbing my eye right now, Southern Cal only an 8.5 point favorite at Washington State. I think they're going to come back. They're going to come out Saturday and want to
swing.
Now, the only thing you can say about that is you see 3:30 kickoff. You're like, okay, well, that's a good. No, that's 12:30 local time. So that is kind of early for college kids. One other one, and then we'll transfer over into the National Football League. By the way, I have noticed the Florida Alabama line went down a point, so it's only 14.5 now. So if you like it, you better get on it. If you like Penn State, you better jump on it right now, because Penn State is at 6-point favorite, and I do believe that's going to go up. It's the national game.
They were on my list.
Okay, yeah. So it's the national game of the week. But can I throw something out here? Game kick starts off a half hour early. If firing Muschamp was such a good idea, Why the hell are you a 31.5 point underdog to Georgia this weekend, South Carolina? Did you really improve your program? 31.5. I don't recall seeing an SEC team, including Vanderbilt, being a 31.5 point underdog. I don't just love that line. I can't run to the window fast enough for that line. And I know Georgia's good, but that is a rivalry, y'all. That is an old rivalry. That rivalry has been they've been in the same division, 30 years? That's typically a hard knock. Now, I think Georgia's going to win with ease, but 31.5 points? Woo!
What did we talk about in the offseason when we talked about Michigan?
I don't know.
What happens to Harbaugh if he goes 7-5 or 8-4? Careful what you wish for, because it can always be worse. And I don't think Muschamp was a great coach, but I don't even know who their coach is. I haven't thought about South Carolina.
You got another one. Should I trade Allen Robinson for, it says A Brown. I don't know if that's AJ Brown or Antonio Brown. So if you could kind of clear that up for me, Stod.
If it's Antonio Brown, no. If it's AJ Brown, yes.
Oof.
For as suspect as the Titans looked, and they did.
That was week one. Don't overreact.
They have weeks, right? It's week one. They have 2 games against Houston. They have 2 games against Jacksonville. Indianapolis's defense is overvalued.
There's no preseason anymore, y'all. So don't pay attention to week one, because we also have an extra game in the calendar. More teams make the playoffs, and with all that being said, what's going to happen? Teams don't give a crap about week one. So you shouldn't give a crap about week one.
Adjustments.
Okay, it's Antonio Brown. Absolutely not.
Nope.
Allen Robinson is a top 8 or top 10 wide receiver in the league. And fear not,
Here comes Fields.
Justin Fields is going to be the starting quarterback by week 4 at the latest.
He might come in this week. That's a line I love.
He came in this past week, and what was it?
They ran packages. Yep.
Yeah, he was 2 for 2, and he also ran for a touchdown. Justin Fields is going to be on that field before, all puns intended here, but Justin Fields is going to be on that field starting quarterback within the month. I'm not trading Allen Robinson any shape or form, because Allen Robinson is definitely the number 1 in Chicago. Definitely.
By far.
Antonio Brown.
Probably the 2.
Will be the number 1 receiver sometimes. They're going to all the receivers are divas. They all want to eat, right?
Right.
So it's going to be Mike Evans' turn one week. It's going to be Godwin's turn one week. Antonio Brown, though, I think he's got much more value this year than he did last, because he's starting the season with the team, et cetera, et cetera. Incredible talent. Stodfather. Yeah, I would definitely. Allen Robinson. I'm holding on for him. In fact, if you're in leagues, you might want to jump on that to see if someone's willing to trade Allen Robinson for something, because there are guys that, in fact, I got a video coming out today, but it'll probably come out around noon today. There are guys that you can get right now because people are going to overreact to week one. They just are. It's human nature. Like, crap, I'm 0-1. I got blown out. What am I going to do? I listened to that stupid idiot on that one video that one time that said to draft Brandon Ayuk. What am I going to do? And so people are going to panic, and you're going to be able to make trades, and you want to do it now. By the time you get like it was 6-8 weeks in the season, people have seen enough, and they're going to say, I don't know, man. I'm not going to get rid of this guy. He's starting to look good. So that's
right.
Any NFL numbers that you like?
Yeah, actually a couple I'm going to give really quick because I know we got to do walk-offs and whatnot. I love home dogs. Miami's getting 3.5 at home against Buffalo. I was more impressed by Miami. And I'm a little concerned about Buffalo, but we'll talk about that on Sunday. Carolina getting 4 at home against New Orleans. I think New Orleans is getting a lot of traffic, especially a lot of sharp money coming in on that number. So I think it could actually go up, but I like Carolina a lot at home. And Jameis is going to have one game this year where he throws 2 pick sixes. I don't know if it's going to be this one, but it's going to happen once. And then a couple of really quick ones. Tomorrow night's action. I've seen this on 2 different books. Gibson to score the first touchdown is anywhere from plus 450 to plus 550 on BetMGM. That could be a very interesting little player prop. And you can get a lot of action on that. And then the last one really quick, I don't think it's going to stay this low, so get it now if you can. Chiefs Ravens over under is currently at 55. I can't run to the window fast enough to bet that over. And I'm usually an unders guy, but that one looks tasty.
Tomorrow night's game, one of the things I like the most on it is the over. Last time I saw it was like 40.5, 41, something like that.
It's going to take a lot of whiskey to get me to bet on Daniel Jones again. Sorry.
I get that, but short weeks usually short weeks usually equate to very vanilla packages on defense, and that's an incredibly low score in the National Football League. So I would have to bang the over on that. As far as who's going to win that game, look, that's a loaded question. If Fitzpatrick's the quarterback, I'm obviously rolling with Washington with him not being the quarterback. These are the games that Daniel Jones wins. The ones you think he has no shot. You're like, hey, right. Garbage.
Beat Seattle last year. Had a couple of them that were beat Tampa in Tampa. We haven't forgotten about that.
And the Giants are a better team this year, and the fact that they're going to be going up against the backup quarterback tells you a lot. That could be a game. If I was going to lean one way, I'd probably go Giants in the points, but I'd be more likely to bang the over because I think the over is very, very gettable. I get it. Two really good defenses, but man, you're talking about everything's got to go right to keep that thing under 40. I mean, you're talking about, man, it's got to be like a 17-14 type of ball game or 20-17 kind of ball game. And that also means that Daniel Jones doesn't fumble the ball inside his own 5, right? So, you know what I mean? So, like, you can't just go. That means that Daniel Jones doesn't do anything stupid. And that also means that Tyler Heineke doesn't do anything stupid, which is a good chance they're both going to. And they're going to be playing hot potato with the defense. You take it. No, I'll take it. No,
one more. I just caught it. I can't believe it's this low. The Broncos are only giving 6 in Jacksonville. I mean, what?
Be careful.
Did people watch the games last week?
Be careful.
Okay.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
West Coast, East Coast, and that's their second week in a row. They're going to be waking up early. And the numbers are always overinflated in week 2. I would be
true.
I'm not saying I would take Jacksonville. I'm saying I'm staying away from that one.
Stay away.
That has Urban Meyer getting his first win written all over it in some incredibly ugly game where it's like 23-22 and you're like, what the hell just happened? I stay away from games like that.
For the gamblers, the Dogs were 11-5 in week 1 against the spread. So I mean, there's something to be said for what McGee just told you.
And you know me, I'm a big believer in West Coast, East Coast, especially if it's their second tour back,
second week in a row.
And this isn't the year of COVID where it screwed it all up because they would just stay in hotels on that same side of the coast, unless you see that the Denver Broncos have checked in to the Marriott in downtown Jacksonville on Wednesday. I say, man, stay away from that game. Although there's gonna be Denver's see what the line is for the Denver total team points is going into Sunday because they could roast that whatever the hell. I don't care if that number's 40. That they could roast that. All right, it's time to turn back time to our walk-offs to get the hell on out of Chaw. Listen to this stat. I did a double take. I was like, this isn't real. On this date, 1928, the then Boston Braves played their 9th consecutive doubleheader, splitting the home twin bill with the Cubs 5-2 and lost the other one 6-1. The streak, which began on September 4th, sees the team drop 14 of 18 decisions, including 8 consecutive to the Giants. What the hell do you expect? What kind of bullpen trash would you have at that point? Can you imagine 9 consecutive doubleheaders? They weren't 7 innings back there, my friend. They were full 9 innings. And knowing them, they probably played into the wee hours. 9 doubleheaders. That was an owner being cheap. You know it was.
That's insane.
Oh, well, we're just going to play 2 games there that day. So we're going to train the next day. 9 consecutive. I would love to know what the reasoning was behind that But anyways, birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and grab a dead guy first. You ever heard of Chick Harley?
Can't say that I have.
I seriously doubt many people have heard of him. Chick Harley was an American football player. I just think it's a really cool name. Played for The Ohio State University. He played so long ago. So he was born in 1895 on this date. I've got pictures of him I put up this morning. He played in a leather helmet. He literally played in a leather helmet. Chick Harley played for the Ohio State Buckeyes in 1916 and then went on to fame outside of his football career. Because back then, if you were anybody of any kind of standing in your community, you didn't play professional football. It wasn't until Red Grange hit in the 20s. So he played in 1960. When Red Grange hit it in the 20s, that's when everyone became aware of professional football. He did play for the Chicago Staleys in 1921, but then he went on to get involved in local government. Also, birthdays today. Going to grab one that you may have heard of. He is now, hard to believe, 60 years old. Sit down if you are a Gen Xer. Dan Marino is 60 years old today. That makes me 60 years old. Oh my God. Carry the one. Son of a gun, I'm old. 9-time Pro Bowler. My opinion, the greatest passer to ever play the game. Not the greatest quarterback, but the best passer I ever saw in my life. It's not even close. His release was ridiculous. Another guy who could never quite get over the hill, who is 59 years old today. Remember Ernest Biner?
Oh, yes. The scourge of Cleveland.
From Milledgeville, Georgia. You know, Dan Marino, obviously born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's been very famous. Remember, there was a litany of great quarterbacks that came from that Western Pennsylvania era in the 80s.
Yep.
And then it's almost like it's dried out. But a guy that I would like to see carry that torch, because he's playing at Pittsburgh now, is Kenny Pickett. I really like watching that kid play. What is your walk-off for the day?
My walk-off's a little bit more of a somber one, and it's not exactly sports related. But a rest in peace to Norm Mcdonald, who passed away yesterday. I didn't even know he was sick from cancer. I guess not a lot of anybody. Yeah, he didn't tell anybody. Very private guy, but literally a one of one as far as comedians go, and is really in that golden age of Saturday Night Live that I watch so much, with, The Rock and the Farley and the Spade. That was in my wheelhouse. And he was just always the funniest person. His Burt Reynolds stuff on Saturday Night Live, I'm sure tickled you, as Reynolds was a big Florida State guy. But, just this is a thing. The passage of time is such that everything he did was just hilarious. And they just don't make him like that.
No, even when he was in bad movies, he was just phenomenally funny. He had a way, and I thought his sitcom Norm was extremely underrated, and was very sad. It was great when they canceled it. I thought the guy's delivery was just incredible. And I watched a movie of his in the past calendar year. It was a bad movie, but I watched it because he's funny. I'm trying to think of what the hell the name of it was. I believe Dave Chappelle was in it too. They were like
Dirty Work.
Is it the one where they're like trying to rob this old lady or whatever?
Oh, was he in that too? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the same one.
I know Norm Mcdonald was in it. I think it was Dave Chappelle, but I might be misremembering it. Because the reason why I watched it was because of Norm Mcdonald. I was like, this movie is so stupid, but he was making me laugh. My walk off for the day is you got a lot of good baseball on. You got to get ready for your football. And the biggest thing is, y'all, it's waiver wire Wednesday. Just take some time on your fantasy team, and there may not be something you want to wreck your roster for, but make sure there's not something glaring out there that you're like, my God, why is this guy and why is that guy available on the quote unquote wire, right? Sorry, my computer's doing goofy things. But make sure that you spend some time and hit the waiver wire, because if you don't hit the waiver wire, you don't deserve a championship at any stretch of the imagination. I thought I saw a pretty funny tweet on Twitter yesterday, and then we'll jam on out of here. A guy who's involved in fantasy football heavily on Twitter said, if you don't wake up at 3 a.m. with cold sweats wondering if your waiver wire went through, you don't deserve that fantasy championship. And I wanted to chime in and go, do you know how much, if I did that, I would actually have to set my alarm to wake up at 2:45 and just say, screw it. I'm in 32 leagues. I can't like manage 32 leagues from my phone at 3 in the morning. My wife's going to think I'm having an affair. All right, brother. Well, great job. We will see you on Sunday for the handicappers. We are here every single Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon. We'll take all your fantasy football start and sit them questions. You got trade questions. If you've got waiver wire questions, whatever you have, we're here throughout the week at 8:30 in the morning. And then, of course, on Sundays, it's the handicappers. Have a great day, y'all. And are you in a baseball championship? I feel like you are.
I am. I got you in the yearly head-to-head, so I'm facing Trosh. And if Yahoo is to be believed, I have the upper hands at the end of the week, but I don't believe that.
Can I give you some friendly advice? Because you're very fortunate my team laid an egg.
Totally laid an egg.
Dude, don't carry so many damn hitters, man. Drop them and get some pitchers, because pitchers is the name of the game in that.
You need to look at my roster, because I only have 2 bench spots for hitters. I've got like a ton of pitchers. I think you're thinking of the Roto one, the Roto 5x5. No.
You had 3 or 4 recently. Now you might have dropped them, so good for you.
Yeah, I dropped a few and grabbed a few.
In my opinion, you got 1 week left, or what, 5 days left? Dude, 1 extra hitter is more than enough, because you've only got so many pickups, you got so many hits, and I don't know if he's available in that league, but Senzatella is going to be against Atlanta this week today. That could be a pretty good one for you. So.
I think Trosh has Senzatella going, because I was looking at that. So, oh no, he has not Senzatella. He has the Marlins guy, Alcantara. Sorry, I got him.
And also something to know about Trosh and a lot of the other guys in the league, they don't look ahead. So look at the pitcher planner for the rest of the week. Start sniping guys who are going to pitch on Friday and Saturday with your extra hitters, because they wake up that morning and just look at the probables. That's all they do. So you can catch them. You can beat them. Good luck to you. I'm not pulling against Trosh necessarily, but he's on the show right now, so I'm pulling for you.
Everybody have a good day.
All right, brother. Later.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette.